I think that honestly, 100% of our problems could be solved if we would just open our mouths, right? Like, just say it. Hey, I would really like it if, you gave me some space to talk sometimes. I want to tell you some things. I want to share some things with you, Like, how do you feel about that?
Welcome back to the Express Yourself Black Man podcast. My name is Kizzle or Kofi, and I'm a mental health advocate, public speaker, and founder of a Kizzle brand, which is a project aimed at raising awareness for depression and helping people through difficult times. Studies show that on average, men lose 2.8 years of their life when they're under heavy stress. The point of this podcast is for me to gain those 2.8 years back. As a black man, society often tries to tell me what I can, can't do, or talk about, which can often leave me feeling trapped. And so this podcast is my release. Hey, Cici, how are you?
Hi, Kofi. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I'm glad to connect with you and have you on here. I'm glad to be doing this with you, for sure.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you, man. I'm glad too.
No problem. So I guess we could hop right into it.
Let's go.
So I've been going through your page, and I like the stuff that you post. I like the stuff that you talk about. So I just felt like it made a lot of sense for us to get on live and kind of just have a candid conversation about dating and relationships and stuff, because I feel like I get on live and I do I have a lot of conversations with men, but I don't have enough conversations with women. And I also feel like it's important for us to get the other perspective on like how you guys deal with stuff and like what you guys find appealing, what you guys don't find appealing, and all that kind of stuff, right? And so like I have a lot of men that will sometimes DM me and they'll say, well, shouldn't this space be only for men to express themselves and blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, well, what sense does that make if we live in a society with women, right? And on top of the fact that if it's only men expressing themselves in the space, we're only getting one perspective on what we're going through, which is not the most helpful, right? Like we need to have diverse perspective. We need to have diverse conversations. So I just feel like it'll be perfect to have you on, and just kind of just have a candid conversation. So yes, I'm glad that you're here. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And it's crazy because, so remember I told you that I asked you if it was okay to record the episode for the podcast. And in the intro that I did before I hopped on, that's literally what I said to my audience. I was like, we talk a lot about relationships, and I think it's a good idea that we have some men up in here to voice, you know what I mean? Like how they feel and what's going on. So excellently aligned.
Absolutely. So I guess I want you, so how did you get into like the space talking about relationships and stuff? I guess you can keep it as long as you want it, or you can, keep it short. But I just wanted to know, I find it interesting because I feel like a lot of times people get into this space because they've been through something, right? And that experience in itself is relatable and it helps people a lot. So I don't know if you have a story as to why you got into it.
So to make a long story really short, because we don't got all freaking night.
Right.
I've been writing since I was 5 years old. And when I was 13, I knew that I wanted to be an author. And along the way, a great author that I know told me to write the thing that you know the best. And throughout my life, I've always journaled. So I literally have been documenting my life without me even realizing it. And so journaling was really, really healing and therapeutic for me. And it's how I overcame a lot and still continue to overcome a lot of challenges, obstacles in my life. So when I went through my first real heartbreak where I was on the floor, all that, I wrote about it. And when I started Instagram, that was the first book that I published, because I was like, I know when I was going through my heartbreak, I was trying to find authors who spoke to my story, right? And who spoke like me, like, relatable. And I'm not saying that they weren't out there, but I just didn't find them. And so I was like, I wanted it to be raw. I wanted it to be no sugarcoating. I wanted swearing. I wanted all the feelings. And so I put the book out myself.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And that's one thing that I noticed too on your page. It's not like you're not trying to be uber professional. You're being yourself. And that's something that I've heard you say as well. Like, you are like authentic in who you are and you're raw in yourself. And I love that too, because it makes you a lot more relatable. And you're showing that, no, you don't have to be perfect to be out here talking about relationships, to be out here talking about healing and all these different things. So yes, I I 100% agree with that for sure.
Thank
'Cause,
you.
yeah, people get on Instagram and they see these personalities and these big pages, and then automatically they think you're a robot. Like I was,
Yes.
I was talking to Amani. I know you,
Love
Amani
Amani.
Touch.
Yeah.
Yes, she's dope. She's dope, right?
Love Amani.
And
Shout
I
out to
was
him.
talking to her, and we had these DMs back and forth, and she was talking to me about how like sometimes she'll get DMs from people, and they're just expecting her to write about a certain thing without realizing
Man.
when like as a creator, when you're writing about a certain topic, you have to kind of sometimes you have to get triggered, sometimes you have to put yourself in that space. It's a lot of effort that goes into producing content that generates emotions and feelings in people because you have to be emotional, right? And there goes Amani. Amani said, hey.
Hey,
But
Amani.
yeah, so we were just talking about how sometimes people think like you're a vending machine. Like she says that all the time. It's hilarious. People think you're a vending machine. They can put money in or they can ask you for something to come out. So yeah, definitely. I love the fact that you're raw and you're true in your personality, because I think that's what we need. And
Thank you.
so yeah, I wanted to segue. So seeing as a platform is a lot of black men, right? And just a lot of men in general. What would be, I guess, your general advice to men when it comes to dating and relationships? What are some things that you would like men to know or carry with them as they go out into this space?
I think one of the main things that I think men should know is to start asserting themselves in the realm of emotions and vulnerability, and to take up space
Mm,
and to show up as their authentic self. I think that, and I was talking about this the other day, where it's like, you know, a lot of men say that nobody gives them space when they talk about their feelings. You know, people dismiss it, they don't listen. Their
mm,
wants and needs are, their emotional wants and needs are valid. And I'm like, correct, they are. But here's the thing about space: no one gave it to us either. We had to take it,
mm,
right? We had to like assert ourselves, not aggressively, some
mm,
women do, but assert ourselves and take up space in in spaces that were reserved for y'all, right?
right.
So voting, getting a bank account, fucking look, you know what I mean, right? So women had to assert themselves, and it's the same thing needs to go for men. So when you're dating, just be honest, be open, and allow women to make their choice whether you're for them or not, right? There's no need to, there's something really beautiful in vulnerability, and I think that men need to know that, and they need to hear it more often.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's what I try to say on the platform. I call it leading with vulnerability, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I say leading with vulnerability is because when you open up and you're vulnerable and you talk about what you're dealing with your struggles, all that kind of stuff, one thing that you do is, especially as a man, is you allow other men to understand that it's okay to be human. And then this goes back to my point with you being raw and authentic. Like, I love the fact that you do that because you show people, like, yo, I'm a human being. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I am a human being behind this page. Like, it is okay for me to be that. And I think people oftentimes, like, lose sight of that, which is why it's so hard for us to be vulnerable and talk about the things that we've experienced, because everybody wants to be perfect, especially on social media. We all want to throw up all of our highlights. We want to show all of the good things, but it's important for us to also highlight the things that have gone bad and talk about how we learned from them, or talk about how they affected us because someone else may be going through that. So yeah, man, like, I love the fact that you said being vulnerable, because I know there's probably some guy that was thinking, okay, what are the secrets? What are the secrets to attracting women, right? And you're just like, just straight up be vulnerable, be your authentic self, and whoever you attract is going to be someone that you can actually spend time with, and you don't have to feel fake. You don't have to change yourself for them. I love that. And ultimately that's what we're looking for when we're looking for these relationships, when we're looking for connection. We don't want to, at least for me personally, I don't want to get with someone and then I gotta be this different person. Like, I gotta switch up everything and I gotta be on point all the time. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to be comfortable in my flaws, comfortable in my humanity, and comfortable sharing that with you, and knowing that you can also hold that space for me to be vulnerable. So yes, I definitely appreciate that. So to kind of segue as well, like, I oftentimes get the question, like, well, I get the comment, well, men will say, well, I've been vulnerable before, and
So what?
yeah.
Sorry.
No, no, yeah, no.
So what? Do it again, man.
Right. No, and and I love the fact that you said that, because for me, like, I try to say that in like I try to say that in like a kind way, but like
You saying
you
that I mean?
yeah, like they. No, I'm not saying that you're mean, but right? So sometimes people are coming. They're coming to me with their trauma, right? So
Right.
they're in the DMs. They're like, yeah, I was in this relationship. I was vulnerable, and she kind of just ditched me, and I never want to do that again. Women will always do that to you, and they use these absolutes, and they use that relationship as a reason to put up the wall for not talking about how they feel with any woman ever again, right? And so I guess you already answered it, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. What do you say to those men or those people? Because sometimes it's women as well, right? Like
Sometimes.
sometimes women have that as well.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Sometimes. I'm just trying to be.
Yo, let me tell you something. One thing that I realized when you have conversations, that's why I tell women, like, yo, have conversations with men. Like, just have conversations with men, because you will realize that we're actually not that different on
Absolutely.
how we deal with things, right? Because women, every day, all day, I talk to so many women a day, and I have my clients or whatever, and the main thing is like, oh, that's it. I'm never doing this shit again. And it's like, yo, come on, family. You gonna live the rest of your life just closed off? Because here's the thing, like, and for men. So for the men right now, like, here's the thing, like, heal. Go fucking heal, yo. Because the girl who broke your heart in the 10th grade that you opened up to and were super vulnerable with is like, she's moved on, man. And like, here you are now self-sabotaging yourself, and you don't ever get to experience another amazing thing again because you won't open yourself up. It's a two-way street. To experience a real healthy, happy relationship, to experience those feelings, you guys both got to open up, yo.
Right.
So I kind of look at it as like, instead of building walls, because you build a wall so nothing can come, so nothing can come in, nothing bad could come in, but nothing good gets to come in either, right? So instead of building walls, get yourself a gated community where there's somebody working at the motherfucking front 24 hours, and when somebody pulls up, a woman pulls up, they're like, let me check your ID, let me check your credentials, who you here for, what you trying to do, like, get some, you know what I mean? And then if she checks out, cool, let her in, and if she breaks your heart while she's there, that's life, yo. we
Right.
we win some and we learn some. We
Right.
don't lose shit. We win, and then if something goes wrong, it's not for you. And what can you learn from that experience to do better in your next experience?
Right. Oh my
You
God. You
know?
so perfectly.
But like,
So perfectly. Yeah.
so I think I get, it's kind of like, and it's not to dismiss men. It's just like, okay, your heart got broken, man. And like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there's beautiful things that are waiting for you, but y'all are, and the thing about it, and I was just saying to somebody, actually, I was just saying this in a reading that I did. I was like, yo, you can't save people for later, So you can't save a woman for later, man. You can't save a good woman. Let me say that. You can't say a good woman who is driven and is on her purpose for later. So heal for yourself so that you can move forward, because you deserve love too, and you deserve to feel love, and you deserve an authentic connection, and you can't get that if you refuse to be vulnerable.
Right, right. And it always hurts me when I see that, like, or when I hear that that's somebody's experience. It's like, well, I can't be vulnerable anymore because this happened in the past. And I'm just like, man, you're missing out on so much.
Yeah.
Like, I think love is such a beautiful thing.
Me
Like,
too. Sorry.
it's right.
Same.
It's such a beautiful thing, especially when you understand, like, there are going to be some that you, like you said, learn from,
Yeah.
right? Not lose, that you have to learn from. It
Yeah.
is okay. And this is one thing that I talk about a lot. I talk about getting cheated on a lot. And I know a lot of people, a lot of black men, or just a lot of people in general can relate to that. Like, I feel like almost everybody maybe has a cheating story or knows of someone that's been cheated on. But we don't talk about it, where we like, a lot of people don't talk about the outside effects of like what happens after you get cheated on, the healing process, and then going through like actually learning how to love again, right? And so I try to normalize that conversation. Like, I was cheated on. I was a guy that felt like all women are evil. I'm never, ever, ever, ever talking to a woman again because they're just gonna cheat on me, right? And then I went to therapy, and my therapist was a black woman, and she started sitting down with me. She's like, well, Kofi, don't you want to get into another relationship again? And I was like, yeah, I do. And she's like, so how are you going to get into another relationship when you feel like, oh, women are evil? And I just sat there. We both sat there just looking at each other. And I was like, damn,
Yep.
that makes a lot of sense, huh?
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. And I don't think we stop and really realize how much like our past trauma and like our negative learned behaviors, because you're going to learn somewhere or another, right? Regardless of what happens, you're going to learn something from the experience. And you can choose to make it negative, which is I'm never going to open up again. Or you can choose to make it positive, which is I'm going to feed this to, like what you said, my gatekeeper, who now knows to look for other forms of documentation or whatever the case may be, so that this doesn't happen again.
Yep.
Because a lot of times when people, not all the time, right? But there are a lot of cases in which people get cheated on, but there are signals and signs before that. Like before I got cheated on, I didn't know she was cheating, but there were signs that I shouldn't have been in a relationship at all, right?
Right.
Two
Right.
red flags off rip that I just completely ignored. And the
Mm-hmm.
red flags were she didn't want to get married, I wanted to get married. She
There
didn't
you go.
want kids, I want to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept telling myself, like, at some point in time, she's gonna assimilate to my way of thinking, because that's just what I need to happen, right? And so
Yeah.
I was in a relationship with like the potential of who she was rather than the actual person. And that is something that, again, if I had a proper gatekeeper or I had a proper process, that gets nipped in the bud right away. We don't even get to the cheating incident because you're not even getting inside the gate once we
There you go.
realize like, we're not lining up on the simplest of things, which is a future. You don't want to get married and you don't want to have kids. Why are we even continuing this?
Right. Right. Why are we even continuing this? And that is also, so when I talk to women about this stuff, like it's also a form of respecting yourself, right? So you get with somebody and you're dating and whatever, and all of a sudden, right away off rip, it's like, well, I like this and that and third, and I want this, that, and the third, and the person's like, I don't want that. All right, well, it was really nice to meet you. You're a great person. Take care, ta-ta. Because I respect myself enough. Like, you have to respect yourself enough to know that, like, yo, this is not for me. But sometimes, when we are trying to fill a certain void or trying to, it's like this toxic fantasy that we have, right? Like I can, like you said, I can make them see another side. And it's like, not fam, like they came to you as who they are. It's up to you to like,
Right.
go on about your business. So.
Right. And you know what it is? What it really reminds me of and what it was for me was growing up, I didn't really have a lot of like affection in the home and physical love. And so once I got to the age where I could approach women and have conversations, all I'm trying to do is get that physical love, get that affection, right? And so a lot of people don't even know that they're operating out of this mindset because they're operating out of a lack, right? They're out of, I'm not enough. I need to find someone that then compliments me. I need to be in a relationship. I need to receive that love from this person because I've never actually gotten that. Like I've never actually gotten that. They need to receive it from somebody else. Like it's actually like a need. Like I look at it as like kind of an addiction. So that's what makes a lot of people ignore the red flags because they're like, well, if I get out of a relationship, I don't even know what the hell I'm gonna do.
Right. Right. Because you have to have a sense of self. And that's why when, just want to say this, is certain people on the internet are trying to push people into getting married, all this stuff super young. It's like, yo, like you don't even have a sense of self yet. Relax, man. Like, figure yourself out. And because we change a lot, especially in our 20s, we change, we grow, our minds, we're being exposed to new things, new ideas, and we're unlearning and relearning, right? And so it's important to have a strong sense of self because that is going to be your foundation. If you don't have a healthy, strong relationship with yourself, how the can you go do that with somebody else, right? Like, what are you going to do if you don't know yourself? If you don't know yourself, that means you're not showing up as yourself. And if you're not showing up as yourself, you're not going to get with the right person because that right person is getting with a version of you that's not real. Does that make sense?
Right.
So like, that shit is important. It's important to have that sense of self, and something that you had said earlier when you said that you had gone to therapy, first of all, yes, love that for you. But I wanted to say that the conversation, okay, more men need to talk to other men and have this conversation with men about healing, about therapy, about your feelings, about all this, because a lot of women, we speak to each other, you know, like we have platforms dedicated to each other, and we're like, some women aren't. Some women are using their platforms for other things. That's none of my freaking business. But you know, like for me, and I know a lot of other, you know, women like me, we're like, sis, heal. Sis, get in your healing bag. You know, love yourself. Break yourself open and let shit pour out so you can unlearn the shit that doesn't even belong to you, and then you know what I mean?
Right.
But when we say it to men, men are like, yeah, okay. And we're like, no, seriously, guys. We're like, hey, men, we love you, heal. And we're like, okay, whatever. Like they're not hearing it from us, because they're like, all you guys do is talk. You just bump your gums, you just run your lips. But so if it's different, if another man is telling a man to heal, because I think that here, everybody always talks about how women who come from no daddies, right? We don't have any daddies, we don't have any fathers, we come from broken homes. But men come from those same broken homes too.
Right.
And so if women, as we grow older, those of us who didn't have any fathers or who had absent fathers or whatever the case may be, if women grow up looking for their father in every man that they meet, right, until they heal that part of themselves, what the fuck do you think men are doing? The same thing. They're looking for a father figure, which is why certain men at a certain age can sit on the internet looking nice and dapper and talk anything, and men are like hanging on to their every word because they're also looking for their daddies.
Right.
You know? So no, but I'm just saying that's why these conversations are important amongst men, man. Like, yo, like it's okay to please cry. Please cry. Just cry. Like, just cry, man. Let it out. I don't care if you want to cry about something that is from when you were 7 years old. Please cry, because you've been carrying that shit this entire time, you know?
Yeah. You are speaking facts. Like you basically talked about father wounds. It goes up differently between men and women. And I think sometimes we think that just because it doesn't show up the way it shows up in women, that like men don't have it. But we do have it. We have it like you can even take it a little bit deeper than just people coming on social media and looking to like when I think about whoever it is that you're describing, I always think about like Kevin Samuels, honestly. Like, that's the first person I think about. I think a lot of people can gravitate towards like a Kevin Samuels or like a guy on any kind of social media platform because we don't have that male like figure. A lot of men don't have that male figure. And on top of the fact that they don't have alternatives.
Right.
Like a lot of these guys don't have alternatives. And honestly, in my opinion, that's like the lighter side of it. That's the lighter side of like the father wound. A lot of guys don't even make it to getting on social media and finding their father figure. A lot of guys don't get out of the neighborhood. Like they're in gangs, right?
Right.
So
absolutely.
It plays out in so many different ways in our community. And like I love the fact that you talk about men need to have these conversations with each other, because this is a lot of the conversations that I have with my bros. I just talk to them about. We talk about our feelings all the time, because
Good.
people they know like, yo, if you're gonna talk to me, I'm running Express Yourself Black Man. I've been in therapy. I'm a big advocate for mental health. We gonna get into the feelings, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna have these candid conversations because it doesn't make sense for us not to have them. And you're just sitting around pretending like everything's okay, and I'm supposed to be your bro. How are we bros if we can't sit down and have these conversations about what's bothering you, right?
Absolutely.
Like we have these conversations. I think it's about making it more normalized in the broader community, and that's what I try to do on the page. Is like, yo, listen, this is what happened with me. This is what worked for me, and also you should go to therapy. But here's some resources that will help you until you get to that point, because we don't do that enough. And I was getting on social media and I was just like, yo, all I'm seeing is toxicity. Why are y'all sharing this stuff? This is not helping.
But but people are sharing it because people I'm trying to find the right word to say it. Please hold while I gather my thoughts. Trying to find the right way to say this, but people, I want to say misery loves misery, but the point is it's deeper than that. It's so many people are living in so much toxicity that that's what resonates with them, right? That's what resonates with them.
Right.
So you have, for instance, a bunch of brokenhearted women who are don't want to hold themselves accountable, don't even know what accountability is, don't want to see that they are participants in their heartbreaks, whether they like it or not, don't want to hear that, you know, you acknowledging your role does not absolve the other person of theirs, don't want to fucking hear that. And so they congregate under men ain't shit, men are trash, yeah, all men are trash, fuck that, fuck that. Like they congregate under these posts and these pages, right? And for men who are holding on to a heartbreak from 1942, like, you know what I mean, they congregate under posts that are, you know, these bitches and da 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 da, and you need to fucking tell these women that you are the boss and you da da da. And so, you know, and so when somebody comes along with like, no, hey guys, love is amazing, they're like, where where? And you're just like,
Right.
I don't know, like where love it resides. You know what I mean? So this is why there's like this big disconnect and there's so much toxicity, because it's the same thing when you watch what gets attention, you know, these shows, these love and hip hop, Basketball Wives, this that, it's mere toxicity. And we are constantly fed, especially in the Black community, we're constantly fed these unhealthy versions of the struggle of shit. We're constantly fed that, you know. And then we're constantly fed this struggle love, but then come here girl, you know I fucking love you, and this that and the third, and this, you know, and it's just, it's a mess. So if that's all you're fed and that's all you see growing up and that's all you're around, where do you think you're going to congregate?
Right.
Right.
Man, that's why it's so important to have conversations with people that have different perspectives. Like, if I never go to therapy or if I never talk to women just in general, I would be one of those guys.
Right.
I, right. And the thing is too, you have to be open-minded enough to understand that you don't have all the answers as well.
Right.
Like, I'm constantly getting taught on the platform. There's
Yep.
sometimes I put up a post or I'll make a comment and people be like, yeah, I ain't really like the way, I didn't really agree with this, or maybe you could have added this or that. And then I learn something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I try to keep my ego out of it. Sometimes it's hard because I'm like, damn, man, like, I really felt that, right? And you kind of attach yourself to ideas or whatever, right? Sometimes it's hard, but it's important that we learn to let go of our ego and the way that we perceive things and allow ourselves to receive different insight, different perspective. And so a lot of us don't do that enough. And that's why I like the fact that you tell women like, yo, have conversations with men. Because I tell men the same thing, have conversations with women. We sit here and we talk amongst each other all the time about the other sex. Why don't we just talk to the other sex? Like, it's really that simple. And once you start talking to the other sex, you start realizing like, yo, what?
Yeah.
That's how you think about stuff? Oh, I was wrong. I was listening to my bro and he was telling me this and that.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay, I understand. Now I get it. And now that sticks much deeper than your bro saying something because this came from the actual source.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I can go back and forth with people in the comments. Because I'm like, yo, bro, you ain't gonna go weird. We're not gonna do this and you're not winning because I've got this from an actual source or I've experienced it myself. So what you're saying right now does not make sense to me because I know it's not true. But I also understand where you're coming from. You're coming from a place of trauma. You're coming from a place of, you have these maladaptive behaviors. So this is what you're spewing. But I'm telling you that that's not everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody isn't out to hurt you.
Right. Everybody isn't out to, and it's just interesting because you see, these are the conversations you're having with men and these are the conversations I'm having with women. Like, sis, everybody ain't out to hurt you. You know, like, there are good men out here. No, they're not. But where are they at though? Well, where are you at? Because no, that's real. Like, that's an honest thing. Like, where are you? You know, I get slack sometimes because sometimes women think I'm too mean and too hard on them. But I'm just saying, like, I had to, the same things I say to women are the same things that I've said to myself. They're all in my journals, right? Like, same things. Like, if you are not seeing any good men around you, maybe ask yourself, where are you? And I don't only mean physically in your environment, but I mean mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Where are you? Because a lot of times you realize, like, if you would just relax, cool on your ego, because women have them too. Women don't like to talk about their egos, but women's egos are actually way bigger than men's, quiet as it's kept. But if you just cool on your ego and just realize like the things that you want from all these good men, you're not even there yet yourself. So what are you chatting about? You know? And it's just a reality of it. And it's the same thing I could say for men who are like, oh, where are all the good women at? Are you crazy? Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you showing up for these good women? Because let me tell you something. Good, healthy women who are walking in their purpose, who know what they want, who have healed enough to know that, like, you know, this is not what I want, that's not what I want. You'll come across them, and from they see you, who you really are, they'll tell you to move from them.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's like, if you are always getting around and all you're getting is just, you know, waist gal here and waist gal there. Well, maybe you're a waist man too. Hello.
Nobody wants to acknowledge that. Nobody wants to do that self-reflection. A lot of people get on social media, right? They see these posts. Like, I put up a post the other day about 5 reasons why I will always love and support Black women, right? And I got like a lot of slack for that from men, like, oh, you're a Black woman, do this, or a woman has done this to me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, but are you gonna sit here and say you've never done anything to a woman? You've never done anything wrong to women, right? Like, we're always so quick to talk about how we've been traumatized, and then we never talk about the healing that we're doing, or the trauma that we've inflicted, or how we're also supposed to be like responsible and accountable for our healing. Like, okay, you were traumatized. Now, okay, what did you do after that? Did you sit in it? It's okay to sit in it for some time. I'm not saying that you can't sit in it, because we all need to sit in it and process. But what did you do after? What happened after? Because if you just tell me you were traumatized, that means there's a disconnect. You didn't do the necessary work to heal, bro.
Yeah.
So you
Absolutely.
you're gonna attract whatever you want to attract at that point.
Absolutely.
Come on,
Absolutely.
man.
And the thing about it is that, like, you know, everybody wants to be seen and heard at the same time. Nobody wants to wait their turn. So look, you'll be like, 5 reasons why Black women are beautiful and you should love them forever. And here comes a bunch of motherfuckers. No, because a Black woman, da, da, da. And it's like, okay, but not all, like, that's your experience. Like, do you realize how ridiculous you sound?
Right.
You know? And then more than that, so we all, our community is mash up, man. But the point is like, y'all have daughters. Like, a lot of the same men who are in the comment sections yelling about Black women this and Black women that are yelling at other places. You have a daughter. You have a Black daughter. Right? The same thing with women. Like, women, oh, Black men, da 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 and shit. You're Black sons, man.
Right.
And so they're on social media with you. Like, here's the thing. There's no grown folks table on social media. Your kids them are on here. Your picnic them are on here, right? And so they see you and everybody else talking this shit. How the fuck do you think they're internalizing that?
Right.
If you're always running around, and we'll take it all the way general now, where it's like, if you're always running around on the phone with your homegirls, men ain't shit. This motherfucker, that's why men are trash. Men are da-da-da. Men are this. And your son is in the background somewhere back there in his room, and you think he's playing these good video games, but he's listening, because as kids, we're in the house.
Right. Especially with mom and dad on the phone. We're like, yo, who are they talking to right now?
We're listening. What do you think you're teaching your kid? And then more than that, just for because we all have a responsibility. These are not our kids. I didn't push no pick me out yet, but I still have a certain responsibility to the kids that I'm sharing this platform with, right? And in this world with. And so what are we teaching these young boys coming up? That they're not valuable? That they have no place here? That they're worthless? What are we teaching these young girls growing up? Right? That, like, to continue perpetuating that? Come on, man. Like, at some point, it's like, realize what you're doing and take responsibility for the words that are coming out of your mouth. Okay, man, like, a Black woman hurt you. Okay, do you want to talk about it? Because that one Black woman is not all Black women. Okay, a Black man hurt you. Okay, do you want to talk about it? Because that one Black man is not all Black men.
Man,
You know?
you made such a good point talking about how our kids, and I say our because I don't have any kids, but the reason why I say our is because I feel like as a Black community, we all have a responsibility for the younger generation.
I agree. I
Whether
agree.
whether we birth them or not, they are
I
on
agree.
this earth, and the things that we do affect them. So we have a shared responsibility to make sure that not only are they getting a better earth that they inhabit, but also we're teaching them how to be better than us,
I
right?
agree.
So when you talked about as a Black woman, like the words that you say affect the Black boy in your life, or as a Black man, the words that you say affects a Black girl in your life. Yo, I agree with that so much. And I just put up a post the other day, I think it was Monday, where I said, Black man, be a positive role model, because that Black boy is basing how he's going to be a man off of you. And then I also said, make sure you're treating your daughter as a king, or the girl, the woman, like the girls in your life as queens, excuse me, because they are basing their relationships with men and boys off of their relationship with you. So that shared responsibility is there, whether you're a brother, cousin, uncle, aunt, niece. You get what I'm saying? Like it is there. We all have a responsibility to make sure that our community understands how they should be treated, or to correct some things that we have in our power. So I love the fact that you said that. And then we also don't talk about enough how if the parents don't do the healing, or if the family doesn't do the healing, now we are like we are continuing the cycle of passing down this trauma. Because now what happens is that Black boy learns from his black mom that he ain't shit. Now he goes into relationships. Well, my mom always, she didn't tell me directly. Maybe she did tell you directly, or she told you indirectly through conversations with friends or family. She told me I ain't shit. So I mean, I don't really got nothing to. I don't got nothing to lose. I'm getting in this relationship. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna do all this other stuff because I ain't shit anyway.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And we don't understand how deeply rooted these things can become. Just like words are so important. That's why affirmations heal. Like, I never believed in affirmations until I started trying them. I was like, whoa, these actually work.
Yeah. Yeah.
These actually work. Like, I used to get to the point, like I'm on a little bit of a I'm diverging from the conversation a little bit, but it's
That's
important I
okay.
talk about this because when I first started therapy, and I had all these like negative perceptions about myself, about me feeling like ugly growing up, and like me not being confident in myself, and all these kind of things. My therapist was like, well, you know, you should probably do some affirmations. And the way that you find good affirmations is by going online, look up affirmations, and whatever affirmation you say, whatever affirmation sounds like disgusting or yucky to you, that's the one that you should pick and use. And I was like, damn, man. And so I read these affirmations and I'm like, oh my God, I hate this. And I'm like, you know what? I got to use this one because I don't believe it about myself, right? Like, I don't believe it. Like, one of the affirmations was like, you're human. It's okay to make mistakes.
Right.
Man, I don't even really like, is it okay for you to make mistakes? So I was
Right.
like, okay, you know what? I need to take this one. Another one was like, I am handsome. Like, my therapist told me to say that in the mirror
Yeah.
during the session.
Mirror work is so good. Go ahead.
And she told me to say it in the mirror during the session, and I couldn't do it. And that's when I realized, like, yo, I have a problem. I can't even say I'm handsome to myself in the mirror. I really was hesitant. Like,
Yeah.
I really could not do it. And went through the process of like saying these affirmations and learning how to like affirm myself and give myself that love that I'm seeking out from everybody else. Because that's really what it is when we get into these relationships a lot of times, like, and we get into these toxic situations that people don't want to leave. They are seeking it out. They are seeking out the love and the affirmation from somebody else when we could be doing the internal work so that we don't ever have to find that external validation from people.
Yeah.
Man, oh my
Yeah.
God.
1000%. And I'm glad that your therapist suggested that to you, and I'm glad that you did the work, you know, because that's what it's all about. It's about doing the work and it's about trying. And I'm glad that you said that it was uncomfortable for you in the beginning when you were like, what the no, you know, because that's often how it is. Like, it's super uncomfortable, but once you push through, wasn't that uncomfortability?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Once you push through that, right, then you once you push through it once, you know you could do it again, and then it starts to get a little bit easier until one day you walk by the mirror and you're just like, hey, fly guy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, that's me. You're
Mm-hmm.
brushing your waves and shit, you
Right.
have the music playing in the background,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you're just like, that's me, you know. And I think that's really really great that you did that. It's funny that you mentioned that. Well, it's not funny, but that you mentioned that you felt like you were ugly and you had a hard time, saying that you're handsome in the mirror. I did an exercise with my live squad. Some of y'all were in there, and I told them it was an exercise for two things. One, it was initially to teach them to learn how to deal with rejection, because I was like, y'all need to learn how to deal with rejection. This is getting a little bit ridiculous now, right? And so I told them to go outside and compliment 10, I think it was 10, was it that I gave y'all? I said, go to compliment 10 men this week. And they were like, what? And I was like, go outside and compliment 10 men. I don't care. Tell them that their shirt looked nice, the buttons on their shirt match with their item. Tell them that they have a nice fresh lineup. I said, bet money you walk up to a stranger guy, and tell him that he has his fresh lineup. He'd be like, what, me? What?
Right.
You like, really?
Right.
Yeah, I got my hair cut today. Thanks so much. Right? Like, I was like, so here is where it's a win-win situation, because one, even if even if he's like, I have a woman or I'm not or whatever, you don't get a number, whatever, you get to walk away feeling like, okay, yo, I did that. I got rejected and it was okay. And you made his day. Right? Like, because there are so many men who do feel invincible out here. There are so many men who it's easy to think that, like, oh, men get complimented all the time. But I'm glad that you said that, because, some men, a lot of men go feeling out.
No,
outside. A lot. Yeah, I really do send them outside. I'm like, go outside and tell somebody I look nice today. But a lot of men do feel like they're not seen, and that they are only used.
Right.
And we have this conversation, and it'd be women to be like, yeah, but we feel like we're used too. And it's like, yo, stop. We need to, if we're talking about men, we need to give the space to talk about men. When we're talking about women, we're giving the space to talk about women. So when men are communicating that, like, yo, we're having a conversation about men, and that's another thing too, because when you say the word men, women's brains go, and all they think of is all the toxic men that they've ever been with in their life, their abusive ex-boyfriend, and it's like, I'm not talking about them. So now I've learned to preface everything with, like, healthy men.
Right. Yeah. People need that, for real.
Good men, like, you know what I mean? But it's like, at the end of the day, like, they want to feel seen and heard too.
Right.
Again, like I said at the beginning, a lot of us, if we would just talk to each other, if more women would talk to men and more men would talk to women, realize we're kind of experiencing the same things, just in different ways. And it's like, if you have a healthy man in your life, or you come across a man who is not being toxic, or who's not, whatever the case may be, and he's talking, I'm like, just shut up. Just shut up.
And vice versa.
Yes, but just like, let him. You will learn. You will learn so much. But because we like to bump our gums, and it's like, yo, like, you will learn so much if you do less talking and more listening. And as a result, he'll start talking more when he realizes that he gets to talk. And so you get to learn a lot about him, right? Without having to pry things out of him. Right. And it's without having to always be like, if you just make him talk a little bit, it's good. And how did that make you feel?
Right. Just like that. And I'm like, wait a minute. You care?
Like, how did that make you feel? Tell me about the whole thing. I want to know. Go. But we have to be willing to do that. And in order to be willing to do that, we have to start realizing that not all men are the same. Not all men are our ex-boyfriends that hurt us. Not all men are whatever. And if you realize that you give a man space and he gets to talk, and then you start realizing that he never returns, he never reciprocates that space, okay, now you know that, like, this is not a balance for me, because reciprocation is needed. And so you go on.
Right.
One
thing that you talked about, first of all, you talked about, like, you just described really well how to hold space for your partner in conversation, which is really just active listening. You tell me what you're going through, and instead of me just discarding it, right? Because as men, we do it too sometimes. Like, a woman will come home and she's like, man, let me tell you about what happened with Rebecca or Jessica. And then we're like, oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I told you to stay away from her. Why don't you just listen to me, right?
Yeah.
first of all, the one thing that we're doing in that moment is like when we give advice and we expect people to just automatically take it, we're stripping them of their autonomy. Like people don't always have to take the advice we give. But the point that I wanted to mention was talking about holding space. It's important that you take an active role in that conversation. And by an active role, I really mean do nothing but try to let the person express themselves. Right? As long as you're in a space where you're able to do that, right? Like if you're having a long day, I get it.
Right.
Space where you're able to do that, allow them to express themselves. Like
my
partner, like when she starts talking about gossip, I'm like, yo, what's up? I want to know. I'm just interested. I'm ready. I'm like, yo, she did that? Like, damn, I can't believe yo, that's crazy. I can't believe she did that. I'm waiting for the gossip. So and we feed off of that. Like, it's entertaining for me. That's just me. Everybody's not me, right? Yeah. Everybody's not. But for me, I'm like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Yo,
and then what happened? Yeah.
Like, and we reference it back, and then we have insider jokes because of it, and it creates so much more chemistry, and you connect so much more emotionally. Like, you get that emotional intimacy because you guys just know each other, and and your partner feels comfortable talking about what they're going through with you because they understand you'll be able to not only hold space for them, but be able to give them some kind of relief at the end of the day. And isn't that all we want to? We go through life, we're grinding. I want to be able to come home and be comfortable. Y'all coming home, y'all can't even talk to your partners. What are y'all doing?
Right. You can't even, and that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, you want to be able to talk to your partner. You want your partner to be able to receive you. You want your partner to be a participant in the conversation that you're having. One of the most, I think, soul-sapping things that I have experienced with some men is like, I'm like hype about a situation. I'm like, yo, so let me tell you how, and he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, right.
You're going after that now. You're going.
I'm like, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Right.
I'm sorry. And he's like, or he's like, oh, like I'm hype about something, and he's like, that's great, babe. I'm like, can you please match my energy? But at the same time, it's something that I had to realize, like, yo, some people's energy are just not there, and if it's not a match, it's not a match. You know what I mean? But like, you want to have that. You know, you want to be able to like bounce off each other, man. It's important. And it's important to, and like you said, like, not obviously not every day. If somebody's not in the space to receive it or to whatever, it's fine. But there has to be a balance. And I think that's something that people, when we talk about like how these relationships and communications, people think of it as like, oh, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And it's like, fam, what's important is that like there's a good healthy balance, right? And so like 80% is you guys are like, you know, and then 20% is the reserve for like the whatever things in the middle there, and then whatever the case, the bad days, the whatever days that I don't want to talk today days, whatever, you know?
Right. Yeah. So. Oh my God. Okay, so we got a few minutes, right? And I want to ask you just one question because I know somebody's probably going to ask it. How do they create that balance when they're in that relationship where they feel like their partner is venting a lot, or they feel like they'd like to vent a little bit, but they don't know how to, you know, start those kind of conversations? So I guess my question to you would be like, how would you create, like, what advice would you give someone that's trying to create that level of balance or that level of vulnerability in their, I guess, in their relationship?
Say it. Hey, like, say it. I think that honestly, 100% of our problems could be solved if we would just open our mouths. Right? Like, just say it. Hey, I would really like it if, you know, you gave me some space to talk sometimes. I want to tell you some things. I want to share some things with you, you know? Like, how do you feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
Say it.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I love the simplicity in your response because I tell people this. Like, I used to have these friends, right? They're cousins. And they never really would get along. And I was friends with both of them. And I would just tell them, like, yo, why y'all talk to me about your problem? Like, am I missing something here? Why are y'all not talking to each other, right?
Right.
it's just like for some people, I'm not trying to say this is that. Like some people they just don't understand how to have that conversation, or they don't feel comfortable having that conversation. But a lot of times, like we don't realize, like you said, yo, we can just talk to each other, like
100% of the time.
and especially if you're in a healthy relationship, your partner should be open and willing to have these kind of conversations about how you guys can cater the relationship to make sure that you guys are both comfortable.
Well, a healthy relationship in would consist of communication, period, right? So if you feel like you can't communicate in your relationship, are you in a healthy relationship?
Mm.
Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, is that really the healthiest thing going on if you feel like you can't talk to, you know, how many times like I have women come into my life and it's like, how do I tell my boyfriend that I'm not comfortable? I'm like, tell him that you're not comfortable.
Yeah, like
The exact same way you said, screenshot it, the exact same way you throw it in here, take a screenshot and say it to, like, and I think that that's something too that we have to start looking at, like, what are we calling love? What are we calling, like, what are we calling love? What are we calling relationships? Why are we calling these things if we are in them and it's not reflecting, right? Like, you're in a healthy relationship, but you feel like you can't talk to your partner ever. I don't know if you're really in a healthy relationship. I don't know if it's really healthy. I don't know. I feel like there might be some problems there, you know? Like, I don't know. Maybe we want to reevaluate, you know?
absolutely. Like if you guys are having that kind of problem where you don't feel so it's there are two things that could be going on. You may not be in a healthy relationship, or you may need to do some work where you feel more comfortable expressing how you feel. Because sometimes it's not even a partner. Sometimes it's
you.
like
Yeah.
straight up. I know some
Agreed.
people have good partners that just, yo, they really want to help. They really want to figure out how they can be there. But the person is just not ready. The person is not in a space where they feel comfortable enough to talk about what they're going through or to talk about what their issues are. And it's really not the partner. Sometimes it's not the partner. Like
I agree.
truly,
I 100% agree. And I know I can only speak for like a lot of women, because I am a woman, so there's that. But I know that like a lot of women, instead of going to their, and this is wild, but instead of going to their man, they'll like pick up the phone and call their friends. So, girl, what do you think I should do if he's doing this? What do you think that means? And it's like, ask him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ask your man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's your man. You
right.
know, like, ask him. And I think a lot of y'all, anyways, my audience know that I say this all the time, so it is what it is. A lot of women give each other really bad advice, you know, like super bad advice, bro, because like a lot of women are congregating with other women who aren't in their healing bag, and so they're operating and they're projecting, and there's all this shit going on. And then tutus now, you know, you could say something as simple like, you know, girl, he usually texts me, you know, every day at 2 and it's 2:45 and he hasn't texted me yet. Girl, that's because he's fucking cheating. Please, you know, men can do it. And it's just like, what? No. And then you hand the phone and you're like, is he? And then when Buddy calls you because, I don't know, maybe he had a car accident or something happened, right? And then he calls you and then you're like, so what were you doing? You have like a whole attitude, and it's like, this is all unnecessary because you could have just been like, babe, usually you text him. Are you okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, I put up a post. I said how to love a black man the right way. And one of the steps, like one of the pieces of advice that I gave was stop listening to your toxic friends. Because we go to these friends, and this is for both sides, right?
Yes.
Like, because again, like the whole, like one of the big parts of this conversation that we've been having is, yo, as a man, you should be talking to a woman. As a woman, you should be talking to men. Right. And also understand that everybody, I want to add on to this, you should also understand that everybody is not healing.
Right.
So a lot of people are operating out of trauma.
Right.
You go to Rachel, or you go to Rashard, or you go to Terrell, or whatever the case may be, they got exes.
Yep.
They got trauma. And if they haven't done the proper healing, they are giving you the negative learned behaviors that they got out of that, and they're packaging it up as advice for a relationship.
Yep.
That's not gonna, What do you think gonna happen if you take somebody's negative learned behaviors and then start implementing it in your relationship that you want to be healthy? That's
Yep.
not gonna work, bro.
It's not, because people can only give you what they have in them to give, right? And so if somebody only has toxicity in them, that's what they're gonna give. If somebody is walking around bitter as fuck,
Right.
right? How are they gonna know? Like, how are they gonna give you
Right.
like something that you need? So if you are in a healthy, happy relationship, man, like, keep talk to each other in there. You talk to each other. That's got to be your bubble. It's got
Mm-hmm.
to be, otherwise, like, a lot of poison can come in and taint shit and ruin shit,
Mm-hmm.
and, like, I always say, like, healing doesn't have to be, nobody's ever 100% healed.
Right.
We are all still moving through life, and some of us still have scars, so we're not all 100% healed, but there is a certain degree of healing that can allow you to say things like, the other day, I think I posted, like, normalize saying to your friend, I'm sorry, I can't give you advice on that because I'm not healed from a situation like that, right? Like, I can't advise you in this situation because I'm not in that space. Like, normalize just saying that instead of just blah, 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 you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
But I think when two people are healthy and happy and they find each other, I think they should not tell anybody. And I think they should just stay together and, like, talk to each other all the time. No,
Yeah.
you need friends, like, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they should bring their problems outside anywhere else.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna have issues, or conflicts are going to arise even in the most healthiest and happiest of relationships, because you're two individuals coming together, growing together, and sometimes you grow at the same rate, sometimes you grow a little bit separately, and so adjustments are required.
Right. And one thing that I want to say before we get off is, yo, y'all can go to couples therapy too. Like, that's
Yep.
wanna
1000%.
I wanna put my hands up on that one. Y'all can go,
1000%.
and you don't have to, like, your partner doesn't have to be cheating, or like y'all don't have to hate each other. Like, it doesn't have to get to that point for y'all to go to couples therapy. Like, maybe y'all just don't know how to communicate with each other properly.
Yeah.
Maybe y'all are talking over each other, or someone isn't being heard, or
Yeah.
miscommunicating because y'all have different communication styles, which is a whole different thing. Like,
Yeah.
maybe y'all just need someone to act as a mediator so that you guys can both get your feelings and thoughts out.
Yeah.
Then y'all can reconnect and be able to, go from there. So yes, couples therapy works as well. But you were gonna say something? Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, couples therapy, and also for people who can't afford therapy, because I hear this a lot. Every time I talk to people who go into therapy, they're like, it's too expensive, I can't afford it, I can't this, da, 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 and that's valid.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also things that you could do, like, you can journal. You can get a couples workbook, man, and you can journal. You could be like, okay, on this page is me. I'm writing you a letter. I'm writing you a 4-page. I'm writing you a letter about how I feel,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I want you to read it, and then you respond to what you think you heard in the letter and how you feel,
Mm-hmm.
right? That way, nobody interrupts me. You don't interrupt me while I'm talking because I'm writing it out,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't interrupt you while you're writing it out. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I know I said real quick before we.
No, it's okay. I don't listen. You can run over if you want. I ain't got nowhere to be.
No, yeah.
It's fine. Go ahead.
I just wanted you to talk about. So you have 11 books, which I find absolutely amazing. Like,
I have 12. I have 12.
12. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
I'm
so sorry.
so sorry. I have
12.
12.
12
Okay.
books, right? You have 12 books, which I
Yeah.
find, honestly, like, because I wrote one book the other day. Like, I wrote one, and I was like, whew,
Congratulations.
I ain't writing another one for a year. I'm good. Like, so please, can you talk to me about, okay, just like, what is it, like, what are in your books? Like, advertise them as if, like, I was someone that didn't know anything about them. Like, what are in your books? Why are they helpful? How can they help people in relationships and stuff like that too? Because I feel like you talked about the workbooks and stuff too, but I feel like you have some good content in your books and stuff as well. And I just want you to share that with people.
I like to call my books mini chapters of my life.
Mm.
I write about my own life experiences and literally what happened, how I went through it, and how I got through it, or how I overcame it. I'm pretty candid in my books about everybody who's read my books know there is an overarching theme in all the books of me taking accountability for my shit. Like it's I talk about, you know, the toxic relationships I've been through, or, you know, at a place where I wasn't loving myself correctly and how I learned to love myself. But the theme is always like, yes, this and this happened and this person did this, but I also
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that. And this is how I got through it and overcame it.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. I find that so I would describe that as leading with vulnerability, honestly, because
yeah, I'm super vulnerable.
yeah, exactly. What you're doing in that moment is you're being vulnerable and you're allowing people to connect with what it is that you're experiencing. And that's the same thing, literally the same thing that I did in my book. Like literally,
Yeah.
I had 4 chapters that go through my life and with the things that I've experienced. So like breakups, which is a big thing that as Black men, we don't talk about. We don't talk about how we heal through breakups. Everybody like, bro, you don't need to be upset about no girl, bro. Like, go get another one.
Yeah.
But I'm sad. Like, like, bro, I'm sad. What am I supposed to do with this? Like, what am
my heart hurts.
You're not helping me, bro. I don't want to go have sex with another girl. I want to figure out what the hell is going on with me, because having sex with other people is not helping me, right?
Right.
So I talked about breakups. I talked about literally being depressed, suicidal ideations, anxiety, and then another big thing which has a lot to do with relationships is attachment styles and how we form like these relationships, how we love and connect with each other. So I love the fact that you call them many chapters of your life, because that shows like, yo, you're in there being vulnerable, and you're talking about also not just what went wrong, but how you take accountability for that, man.
Yeah. I'm really big on that. And I call them mini chapters of my life because every book is in a different stage of my life, right? Like I'm writing a new book right now, and it's me now, you know, and me now is not the same as, you know, 25-year-old Cici who wrote letters to my ex. It's not the same. My vocabulary is not the same. My perspective on things is not the same. Like, it's not the same. And my goal with my books is always to walk people through a journey of, you know, how far I've come, and because of the inner work that I've done. You know, I always say, like, I walk my shit like I talk my shit, yo. I don't stand up here and I'm like, you know what you guys need to do? You need to do some shit that I've never done before, but I heard it's really good, so do it for yourselves. No, like, I'm really up here like, yo, I've been through this, yo. Like, I had to face today I had a whole conversation about, like, you know, my spiritual journey and the mirrors that I had to face, realizing that I was toxic too.
Right.
You know,
right.
And maybe I wasn't toxic like them, but I was toxic like me, because the reality is, if I wasn't toxic like me, if I didn't have toxicities in me, I wouldn't be attracted to and keep running back to the toxic people that I kept running back to and being attracted to. And that was one of the hardest things that I had to come face to face with, you know, but I had to if I wanted to move on to the next level of my life. Right? So my work really chronicles those journeys. There's always like a beginning, this happened, that happened, and then, you know, what I did to make myself better and what I learned through the process. And I think that's so important. And listen, like, you know, I get attacked every day because there's another woman telling me that I'm shaming myself, or like, you're teaching, this really hurts victims. And I'm like, I'm not a victim. So maybe you feel like you're a victim in some case, but me, I'm not. Okay? Like, there's a difference between victim blaming or whatever and accountability, bro. Like, stop.
Right.
It's not the same thing. And if you want to continue congregating around the victim water hole or water cooler, that's your business. Me personally, I like to grow, and I can't grow if I don't take accountability for myself and my life, because everything starts and ends with me at the end of the day. I am the common denominator. I am the one who chooses every morning I decide what I'm going to do. I decide if I'm going to run back to toxic, or I decide if I'm going to take the path and go towards the great things that I know exist for me that I just have to go get. Right. I choose.
Right.
So.
Ooh, you preaching. Okay. This is the last thing I want to say.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
The last thing I want to say for all, I just want to repeat what Cici said, because I talk about accountability, and when I get the same thing from people. People are like disgusted with accountability. Like people that aren't doing the work, like they're disgusted with personal accountability.
Yeah.
Like, how are you telling me I gotta be accountable for healing when somebody hurt me?
Right.
I've got that comment before. How am I
Right.
supposed to be accountable for healing when somebody hurt me? What you gonna do? Just sit in it your whole life then?
Yep.
What is the alternative?
Yep.
What is the alternative? You have to do something about it. You
Yep.
got to do something about it, and that is take personal accountability for your healing and your work, bro. You
Yep.
got to do that, unless you want to sit in it for the rest of your life. And if that's okay with you, then you go ahead and you make that decision. But me personally, hell no, I'm not okay with that.
Yep.
I'm not okay with getting cheated on and not doing anything about that. Like not doing anything about my negative learned behaviors, because at the end of the day, it's gonna affect not just me, but also other people that I interact with, but more so me in my life, in the relationships that I choose, and the people that I have around me, and the quality of my relationships. All of these different things are affected by your trauma, whether you choose to believe it or not. We are all making subconscious decisions based on things that we have learned.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah, like you have to do that work. You have to take personal accountability. You have to be able to be vulnerable and have these conversations, man. Like, yo, I try to tell people this all the time, man. And I love it when I hear it from somebody else, because automatically I'm like, all right, cool, they did it. Boom.
Yeah.
like, like
You're like, this is gonna be a good conversation. Okay. Like,
yes, we are
it's not
on
gonna
the
be pulling
same
teeth. Great. It's a real no, it's a real thing. And it's funny, I'm like watching you get like super passionate about it, and I'm like, I feel you, because it's like when you have done your work and you've come out on the other side, you're just like, guys, come, you want to be, trust me, you want to be on this side. But like, I can't pull you here. I can only inspire you to get here, because your journey is yours. There are details on your journeys that are just for you, because you have your own layers that you have to uncover, right? And I had my own layers that I had to uncover, and they're not the same. So like, you really have to do your work. Like, please just do your work, but a lot of people are too busy pointing on the outside when they need to be pointing on the inside, and a lot of people are too busy using their mirrors as like a superficial thing, and it's like, oh, my hair look good, my face look nice, everything look nice, but on the inside you're rotted. You know what I mean? Like, on the inside it's just putrid, because everything is bleeding on something else. There's this wound that never got healed, so now it's bleeding over here, and then this got cut there, so now this wound is bleeding here, and it's just a mess, man. I clean up.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This has been great.
This is really good.
Yeah, this has been great. I just want to thank you for you coming on here and just being raw, being authentic, being yourself, and us, just having this conversation, because we need more of this, man. Like, we need people just being authentic and talking about the fact that, one, healing ain't sexy. It ain't easy. I did those affirmations. I hated them, right? And that's not the only thing that I had to do that I hated, right? But it was just one part of it. But you got to be able to move in that uncomfortability. You have to get, really, as cliche as it is, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if you're not comfortable being uncomfortable, that means you're too comfortable, honestly.
Yeah.
And you don't do anything about it. Like, truly. So I just, man.
Yeah. Woo, you have to really, like, you got to ask yourself, what do you want? What do you want for yourself? What do you want for yourself right now? And more than that, what do you want for yourself in the future? Something I always say to my audience, I'm like, yo, have you ever had a conversation with an 80-year-old woman or man, and they're telling you about their life, and there's sadness in their eyes? Like, you can see the sadness in their eyes, and they're telling you, don't be like me. Right. Go chase your dreams. Right. Go do this. Go do that. Right? I don't know about y'all, but I've had those conversations with elders like that, and that shit scared the shit out of me. And I was like, I never want to be that. You got to ask yourself what you want for your life, and then be it. Right. Like, fucking be it, yo. Be the things, be the green flags that you want in other people. Right? Like, Be the emotionally like available person that you want these men to be. Be in your purpose bag. Be in your, I always say, you know, we have 5 businesses: mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial. Like, cater to your businesses, keep the lights on, yo. Like, you have to build up your businesses, and then you have to invest in all of them. Otherwise they don't work. Otherwise they get shut down. Otherwise the repo man come and take your kingdom. Otherwise, like, you understand what I'm saying? And us come and shut everything. Government's like, no, can't have it here. You're not paying your bills. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, you
Yes.
have to invest in yourself before you have the audacity to ask somebody else to come in and invest in you. How?
Oh man,
You know,
this has been amazing. Truly. You know who I would love to see you on live with? Actually, I would love to see you on live with Imani.
I love Imani.
Yes, please, because Imani and I normally have the dating and relationship conversations, and she gives me so much. Like, we were talking the other day about, like, she put up a post, and I'm probably gonna butcher it, but she put up a post where she's talking about, she said it was 2 T's. It was transactional, and I think transcendent relationships. And a lot of times people have like transactional relationships because they haven't done the work, and now a relationship becomes, what can you do for me?
Right.
Transcendent, which is like, we are both operating in our full capacity, and
right.
a relationship work for us, and we're carving out space for each other, and it's more of a not even really a give and take. It's more of a, I give and I know you're gonna give as well. Like, it's, man, I just would love to I would just love for you guys to have a conversation, because I feel
Imani is super dope. So Imani is like, I've never actually talked to her like but she's in my lives all the time. She's always in the comments, and so one time I went to her page and I was like, okay, Imani, you look good. Like, she's super dope, and she always adds like really good commentary to the conversation. I would love to do a live with Imani one day. Actually, I'm gonna start like doing, I think this opened a box, because I don't really normally do lives with people. I don't really do collabs no, I really don't.
okay.
Just because, like, you know,
people are, yeah. Well, you don't got, I know exactly where you
right. I'm just like in the cut. I'm on my business. I do what I gotta do. I stay in my own lane, and I don't trouble nobody as long as nobody don't trouble me. I don't come for people. If they don't come for me, leave me alone. That's it, you know?
Right.
But as of recently, because you know these people be trying to get clout and shit, you're just like,
man, I've had a couple of those where I just gotta say, yeah, you know, I'm not doing any lives in the near future, so you know it. I'm not doing anything in the future.
Right? 2 Tuesdays, see you on live the next day. They're like, I thought you just said, and you're like, anyways. But no. But this was a really good conversation, and I actually something that I wouldn't mind doing again, and I want to try to get into a little bit more. Yeah. I think it's good for communities, and not just mine, for other people's communities too, for 2 people from different communities to come together, and then we can be a whole community, right? In that sense, in the social media sphere. And I also want to have more conversations actually with men. I think, like I said at the top of this, I think it's really important that, you know, because I have conversations with men all the time, but I think it's important for other women. I know what my audience base is, and I think it's important for them to hear these conversations with men, and hopefully it inspires them to have more conversations with men, because I just don't know how people expect to have thriving relationships with the opposite sex when you're not even willing to have a conversation with them, and you're not even willing to be like friends with them. You know,
let's talk about how some people, you know, man,
let's talk about it.
Some people don't even know how to be friends with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Man, yeah, I need to see you do more of these, and we definitely got to do something else, because this has been, woo!
I'm down, yo. I'm really, really down. And it's crazy. I heard, no, I read, I think it was one of your posts, but I was busy after but I saw it quick, that you're 24?
Yes, I am. Turned 25 in December, yes.
So, yo, when I seen it, I was like, oh, yes. I would have never thought that you were 24 years old. And I want to say this as your elder.
Yo, Yes, but please go ahead. Go ahead. My elder, yes. Mm-hmm.
As your elder, because I'm 36, so I'm your elder right now.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I want to say that I'm very proud of you because it is so lovely and refreshing to see a young man, a young Black man at that,
yes,
like in his healing bag, in his responsibility bag, in sharing such important messages to other men and taking on the responsibility. And sometimes it's a bit of a burden to take on that role in the community, the role of I'm going to be the voice of, and I'm going to be the voice of healthy communication. And I'm going to go the opposite route, because I'll tell you something, it is so easy, especially on this social media platform, it is so easy to see what gets likes and what gets clicks and whatever, and decide to go that route, right? Like, oh, the drama, whatever, or da-da-da, or whatever. I might as well just be like, women ain't shit. And I'll get all kinds of, the fact that you stick to what you're doing and what you believe in, it shows that you have a lot of character and integrity. And I really am rooting for you. And I really hope that you take this shit all the way. Wherever it is that you are divinely guided to go, I hope that you go all the way with it and stand 10 toes down in it.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that. I received that, honestly. Yeah, like for me, honestly, when I started the page, one of the main reasons why I started it is because I was seeing so much like toxicity in our community. And I was just like, yo, bro, like, why are y'all sharing all this stuff? Like, this is not helping us. And we share it as jokes, but we also don't understand how much, like, when we consume that stuff, how much it becomes like our subconscious in the way that we think and the way that we interact with people. So I wanted to create something that was the complete opposite, right? I wanted to create something that's not just like, hey, here's your daily motivation for the day, but like, yo, this is some stuff that has worked for me. So like, honestly, I appreciate that. Like, honestly, I really do.
Yeah, man, you deserve it. You deserve it, 100%.
So yeah, this has been so dope. Thank you so much, Cici.
You're so welcome, and thank you for inviting me, man. I appreciate you, and we'll do it again sometime. Yo.
Yes, please. Yes, please. All right. You enjoy your night.
You too. Bye, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time out to listen to this episode. I truly, truly, truly appreciate you. So I really hope you got some valuable insight, and I hope I helped in some capacity, whether it be through the platform or the podcast. If you like to support for free, you can like this video if you're on YouTube, or you can share and subscribe regardless of what platform you're listening to the episode on. If you like to support monetarily, now we're talking, you can go to shop.expressyourselfblackman.com and get yourself some merch. We have a hoodie, we have sweatsuits, we have shirts, we have hats. We also have an ebook on how to heal, where I discuss breakups, depression and suicidal ideations, anxiety, and attachment styles. I go in depth about my story with dealing with all of those things, and then I explain how to heal in an easy guide. It's easy to follow. It's easy to go from reading to implementing. So if you're interested in that as well, it's in the shop. The book is called From Hurting to Healing, A Black Man's Guide to Feeling. So consider supporting monetarily, but regardless of how you support, I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. A shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. No, you need to hear it, my brother, I love you. We got way too much to live for. We got way too much to live for. When we get it all, we want
like
more.
you lost another one.
When we get it, still we want more. I know it's hard, but you just gotta push on through. Only Brody always tryna bring you. If you ever feeling down, bro, you're never alone. If you ever feeling down, you can always hit my phone. If you ever feeling down, bro, you're never alone. Okay, hey, I'm your shoulder to lean on. Express yourself, de-stress yourself. I don't wanna talk about me, tell me how you feeling well. Since you know that you alive, but this earth feel like